Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurum Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Visabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, we are doing the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter by chapter. This is to glorify the Gita Jayanti, which is going to be held on the 14th of this month. The appearance of Bhagavad Gita, 5,000 years ago, it was spoken by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, and I am assigned to speak on chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita, Knowledge of the Absolute Truth. I'm going to give you an overview of the whole Bhagavad Gita. It comprises of 30 verses in the 7th chapter, and it's a very interesting chapter because it explains about how we can receive knowledge, how Krishna's energy is being explained as well, Krishna's essence of everything, who accept Krishna and who rejects Krishna, and demigod worship, and ultimately, who can become a devotee. See, the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita explains about karma, yoga. Then, that is from 1st to 6th chapter. Then from 7 till 12, this is the middle chapters. There are 18 chapters, so it's divided to 6 each. First 6 is Karma Yoga, and from 7 to 12 is Bhakti Yoga. That is the start of Bhakti Yoga, knowledge about Bhakti Yoga. Then from chapter 13 to chapter 18 is Jnana Yoga. Of course, Prabhupada says Bhagavad Gita finished in 17 chapters, and the 18th chapter is like the summary or the conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. That is the 18th chapter. Lord Krishna summarizing the whole teachings to Arjuna. So, in this chapter, specifically, it's a continuation from the 6th chapter. And we are taught by Lord Krishna. We're just like following in the footsteps of Arjuna, and therefore we should try to understand the way Arjuna understood the Bhagavad Gita. From first sloka to the third sloka explains about knowledge through hearing. From fourth to text 12 is about Krishna's energy. And then from 13 to 19 is who accept and who reject Krishna. And then again, demigod worship, and then who can become a devotee. So the first verse, Prabhupada always, he gave so many classes. I was like looking at the different classes Srila Prabhupada gave in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and he gave on the first verse many classes in different places, Dublin, Mexico, New York, London, many places all over the world during his travels. So I'm going to tell you about this first verse because it's very, very important. Shi Bhagavanu Bhacha Maya Ashaktamana Parta Yogam Yunjam Mad Asraya Asamsayam Samagram Mam Yata Yasi Tachrinu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Prita, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt." So there are many ways how we can understand Supreme Absolute Truth, the knowledge about the Supreme Absolute Truth. There is the ascending process, through faith, and through descending process. These are different ways. Of course, there are more, but these are the three main ways as described here in this chapter. In the ascending process, is very defective. It's like science. It works on different levels or some levels, and just see, for them, it's like to see is to believe. That means if you don't see it according to them, then it probably will not be existing. It doesn't exist. So they discover things according to their senses. But our senses are imperfect. They are limited. They can only perceive matter. They cannot perceive spiritual subject matter. Therefore, the knowledge will never be perfect. And ultimately, you cannot perceive the soul or God through your senses. Ultimately, science is imperfect, as it is based on humans who have limitations. What are our limitations? We have a tendency to commit mistakes. Because we have a tendency to commit mistakes, therefore they have researched, many researches, and then they always refute the previous one. If they research something different today, yesterday will be thrown out in the garbage. And therefore, the proof that they have is not perfect. And they believe that no one is perfect, and that's not true. One can attain perfection by the process of bhakti-yoga. And we have a cheating propensity. Actually, there are 4 of them. Tendency to commit mistake, cheating propensity, to be illusion, and our senses are imperfect. Yeah, our senses are imperfect, tendency to commit mistakes. We have cheating propensity, and we have a tendency to be illusion. Those are the 4 defects that the conditioned souls have. Yes, science is imperfect as it is based on humans who have limitations. So we have to consult a perfect source for life decision. And that's why there is what you call the scriptures or the Guru. Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. The spiritual master, who is a bona fide representative of the Supreme Lord, he knows, he's a realized soul, he can impart the knowledge to us, and also the Sastras or the scriptures written by the Supreme Lord himself or his representatives. Again, saintly personalities are there. So we need guidance. And also the Supreme Lord will come from time to time to impart this knowledge. He will have many of his different incarnations. And they're free from imperfections. They are what you call infallibles. Yes. The Supreme Absolute Truth is free from the defects that the conditioned souls have, like us. He's transcendental. And that's why he says the knowledge that is imparted by the Supreme Lord or his pure representatives are the proper sources of knowledge. Dharma tu saksad bhagavat pranitam. Only the Supreme Lord himself can enunciate the knowledge or impart the knowledge for everyone to follow. So faith is also needed if you want to understand knowledge about the absolute truth. The process of bhakti yoga starts with faith. Ado srada tatu sadhu sangha tato bhajana kriya. That by having a little bit of faith in the process, and how do you get this faith? By association with the devotees. When you associate with the devotees, then your bhakti is wide open because you will imbibe the same qualities that they have, specifically serving the Supreme Lord. How to serve the Supreme Lord. In everything that we do in life, you need faith. How do you know that this money that you have will be able to buy commodity? Well, you have faith that the government backs up the money with some gold. Of course, now money doesn't really have so much value. But faith is needed. If you want to learn something, you go to a teacher. Any kind of knowledge you wish to learn. So faith must be there. Then there is what you call descending process. Descending process means knowledge coming from the Supreme Lord himself. Nice analogy is given, just like there's a ripened mango fruit, which is on top of a mango tree. So to have that mango fruit be delivered to the person who is in the ground, therefore you need someone who knows how to climb the mango tree. The person who will pluck the mango fruit, which is ripened especially by the rays, the sun rays, or the sunshine, becomes ripened. So the original person who plucked the mango is Lord Krishna himself. And then it will be passed on to his representative. Who is the next one? Lord Brahma. In our disciplic succession, it is Lord Brahma. That's why there's what he called Guru Parampara, or disciplic succession, coming from Lord Krishna himself, then to Lord Brahma, then going to Vyas, and all these different great personalities. Narad Muni, Vyas, then goes up to the present Guru that we have, Srila Prabhupada, and his representatives. This is how we receive the knowledge. And that's why Srila Prabhupada Specifically, he named the Bhagavad Gita that we have as it is, Bhagavad Gita as it is, because there is no dilution. There is no adding and subtracting of knowledge. He gave the knowledge intact as it is. And he based also the explanation from the previous acharyas or previous teachers how we can understand this knowledge. So faith is very important. Scriptures is to be there also. But the scriptures, they're not man-made again. They're by the Supreme Lord Himself. It cannot be. One may say, oh, how do I know that these scriptures also are the right source of knowledge? Well, it says there are many explanations. It says that you cannot change it actually. Well, you can interpret it, but it's not the same. One good example that Srila Prabhupada gave is like in the scripture, it says that the cow dung is pure, or Ganga is pure. And many scientists also did some laboratory work on the water, Ganga. Even though there is so many seemingly impurities in the water, Ganga, it's 100% free from any bacteria or any germs. Same with cow dung. Cow dung also, very pure. We use cow dung for cooking. Gobar, they will put cow dung all over the place, all over the house, and very pure. Same thing, the scientists did it. So, verse 7. Mata parataram nanyat kanchid asti dhananjaya maya sarvam idam protam sutrimani gana iva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So there is this pearl necklace, and they're all together. But you don't see the thread. So the thread is Lord Krishna. Everything else rests upon Him. Without the thread, then you will not have a very beautiful strung of pearl necklace. So this is Krishna's energies compared to that. So we should improve our vision by hearing. Right now, even though our senses are impure, but we can see Krishna. We can understand the Supreme Absolute Truth through hearing. Because the sound vibration is not material. The sound vibration is spiritual. It cleanses our heart. All the impurities that within us is being eradicated, especially by hearing the transcendental sound vibration from the right source. Again, some unscrupulous people, they may try to explain the Supreme Absolute Truth, but because they are vested with self-interest and they have other motives, but then hearing from them, it becomes polluted. Prabhupada gave an example. It's like milk touched by the lips of a serpent becomes poisonous. So the right source, the sastras, must be also heard from the right personalities or holy man. Then it will be very, very effective. So here, the energies of the Supreme Lord is not being explained. From verse 7, the different material elements 8 of them. Bhumir aponalo vayu kammano budir evacha ahankara iti yamme bhina prakriti astida. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. So 5 gross and 3 subtle. The gross are the earth, water, fire, air, ether. You can touch them, you can feel them, but the mind, intelligence, and false ego, you cannot see them, but they exist. In order for us to understand this knowledge, Lord Krishna explains this in the Bhagavad Gita also. There is a Sakti and Shaktimaan. Shakti means energies. So these 8 separated energies comprise the material energy, separated material energies. And Shaktimaan means he is the source of all these energies. Verse 5. Apareyam itastu anyam prakriting vidhime param jiva bhutang mahabaho yayedam daryate jagat. Besides this, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Yes, Krishna is a source of unlimited energies. Parasya Shaktir Bibidhaiva Shuyate Shabhabiki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. But to make it simplified, the major, most important energies of the Supreme Lord is the spiritual energy, or the Antaranga Shakti, the material energy, Bahiranga Shakti, and the Jivas. That means the living entities. We are Tatastha Shakti. That means we're all eternally living entities, spirit souls, fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. And we have the same quality as the Supreme Lord, Sat Chit Ananda, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. But somehow or other, we come in contact with the material energy, and therefore we became covered up by the modes of material nature, namely Sattva Guna, mode of goodness, Rajaguna, mode of passion, and Tamaguna, mode of ignorance. So, we lost, or somehow, we have forgotten our original nature, which we are all servants of the Supreme Lord, having come in contact with the material energy. And an example is given just like a pure rain water. When it comes in contact with the ground or the earth, it becomes muddied. So the real nature, which is crystal white, or liquid, which is like pure, it's like we were in a Hobilam, and there is this waterfalls that's coming from the mountain. So to see the Supreme Lord, Lord Nrsimhadev, where he killed Hiranyakashipu in Satya Yuga, different kalpa. We have to pass through these waterfalls. And there's no way you can go and see Lord Nrsimhadev without passing to that waterfalls. And then, somehow or other, I open my mouth, and it's so sweet. It's amazing. And you feel like thousands and thousands and thousands of lifetimes of sinful activities has been washed away. And it says anyone who passed by there, you'll become purified. Yeah. no more birth and death, provided no more sin. So I opened my mouth and I tasted the water. Wow. Better than Bisleri. Better than Aquafina. Or better than Evian. Whatever, like that most expensive water in the world. You cannot find. So it's so pure. So in the same way, when it comes in contact with the earth, it becomes muddied. So our nature became like that. So we have to uncover our original nature, or we have to cover ourselves to reach that original nature. Yes. So Shakti comes from Shaktimaan. That means energies. These are all sources. These different energies are, the source is Lord Krishna. It's like the sunshine. The sunshine coming from the sun globe. But then there's also the Suryadev, or Vivashvan, or he is the originator of the sunshine. So we come from Krishna. Shakti comes from Lord Krishna. We came from Krishna, therefore we should follow Krishna. Verse 19, a very, very famous verse again. Bahunam janmanam ante gyanavanmam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam iti samahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So this is the meaning of a Mahatma, or a great soul. Mahatma means rare soul. Rare soul means after many, many births of repeated birth and death, we have come to the conclusion, understanding that Lord Krishna is the cause of everything. Vasudeva, that means Lord Krishna, another name for Lord Krishna. Vasudeva Sarvam iti, he is the conclusion of everything. Janmadi asayataha, he is the source of everything. Sarva karna karnam, he is the cause of all causes. So ultimately, we surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, understanding this knowledge. That is the result. After gaining all of this knowledge, then we will conclude that we will surrender. Prabhupada would quote this very often. We've been here in this material world since time immemorial, and somehow or other, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, we'll meet a bona fide spiritual master. And from the bona fide spiritual master, we will receive Krishna. That is very rare. In the material world, of course, in the spiritual world, everyone is a devotee of the Supreme Lord. But in the material world, mostly are fruitive workers. Mostly they are fruitive actors. That means they are always looking for sense enjoyment. Doesn't want to give up sense enjoyment. So now we're going to see now all of these different personalities who rejects Krishna and who accepts Krishna. Because to accept Krishna is very rare. It's not an everyday. Of course, only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that they will accept Krishna. So first, text 15, Namam duskritino mudha prapadyante naradama mayaya pritagyanam asuram bhavam asrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So these are the four personalities, kinds of personalities who doesn't accept Krishna, who does not surrender. Mudha means grossly foolish. You know, when we say mudha means rascals. Prabhupada will always say rascal. You rascal? That means so foolish. They don't believe ultimately that there is God or there is certain absolute truth. Naradama, lowest of mankind. Again, same kind, same type of personality. Usually because of karma that they somehow put into this kind of status or position. Maya paritagyana, deluded speculators. Those who just wanted to inquire, but then somehow or other they're not being directed or given the proper guidance. Then they become deluded, they become lost as well. And then Asurim Bhavam Ashrita, professed atheist, who believes that there is no God. This is the disease of the whole world, that we have forgotten God. Not just we have forgotten God, but they believe there is no God, and they believe also ultimately that they are God after some time. So they reject Lord Krishna. And mostly these kind of personalities, they don't have time about spirituality, regarding spirituality, which means that, yes, it says here, he is busier than God intended him to be. That means they're crazy fools. There is a lazy fool or lazy intelligent, and there's crazy fools. It's better to be a lazy intelligent. So yes, so we have to check where we are, which mode we are. Either we are divine or demoniac. And the only hope these personalities can be to attain or surrender unto the Supreme Lord is that when they meet devotees of the Supreme Lord. That's the only way. There's no other hope. And this is our purpose. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is what we're doing. We propose to them that this knowledge will purify you and will give you an everlasting life. No more coming back. And that's why this month of December, we propagated all of this. Profusely, we try to propagate Krishna consciousness by distributing Bhagavad Gita all over the world. As many Bhagavad Gitas, thousands, not even thousands, tens and thousands, but not even 10, hundreds of thousands, especially in India. It's unbelievable how they distribute the members of our movement, Srila Prabhupada's books. There was one devotee, he broke the record the other day. Harinamananda Prabhu was the king of book distribution, but this devotee, he broke the record. Way too much. And I've seen those pictures. You've seen the pictures? He will be distributing these stocks and stocks of books. I believe he distributed over 1,400 books in one day. In one day. He's empowered. He's an amazing devotee. He distributes in America, in New York. Text 16. Chapter 7, text 16. Who accepts Krishna? Chatur vidha bhajante mam janasu kritino arjuna arto jignasur artarti Jnani cha Bharatarshava. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me. The distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. So artha, the distress. So anyone who comes to Krishna consciousness fall into any one of these 4 categories. Very rare that one will come without falling into one of these. So you can ascertain how you come, and you will fall into any one of these. Artha, the distressed. Yeah, the distressed. Those who feel very, very morose or sad, or thinking that, oh, life is useless, so let me find an alternative. The distress. How I can feel better, or how all of my problems will go away. Artarti, the desire of wealth. Usually those who are having difficulties in finances, or they're homeless and they need place where they can take shelter of, where there is an abundance of wealth, but this is different kind of wealth that you will get when you come to Krishna consciousness. Jignasu, the inquisitive, inquirer. Many people come to Krishna consciousness to inquire, oh, what is this about? Like when we distribute Bhagavad Gita, tell me what is inside. I've been searching. I've been trying to figure out myself also how to have a better life, how to be happy, not only in the weekends, but all the time. Tell me about this book. Tell me. And then there's a jnani, he who is searching for knowledge of absolute truth. I remember when I was a young boy, around 14 years old, I was always searching for an answer, searching for questions that, because I grew up in a Roman Catholic religion, and there are many questions that I was not satisfied, even though I read the Bible every day practically. Who am I? Why am I here? Is there life after death? Why am I suffering? If there is life after death, where do you go? Is there another world besides this? All these kind of questions you cannot figure out yourself. You need some information coming from the right source. And therefore, somehow or other, by fortune, I bought some of these books. I never met a devotee. Only after, 7 years? After 7 years. Prabhupada's books are very powerful. Even though I am not able to understand fully what I'm reading, but I have so much faith that these books are not ordinary books. Somehow or other I feel satisfied, even though not fully comprehending what I'm reading, but I know that I have the most valuable in my hands. So all desire or no desire, always worship Krishna. Sarva kama, akama sarva kama ba moksha kama udaridi tibrena bhakti yogena. Always, whatever, even if you have a desire, no desire, akama sarva kama ba moksha, even if you want liberation, try to worship Krishna all the time, because ultimately the end result is that you will attain Krishna. Even if you have material desires, worship Krishna. Even if you don't have any material desires, worship Krishna. That is bhakti. Now, the next verse will be about those who worship the Supreme Lord in different ways. Because they want fruitive gains for the things in their life. Therefore, their intelligence is not really properly put into proper perspective. Kamay stai, text 20. Kamay stai hitagyana prapadyanti nya devata. Tam niyamam astaya prakritya niyata swaya. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Yes. Because the Supreme Lord, He fulfills everyone's desires. Of course, you have to be qualified to also to desire and have your desire becomes fulfilled. Now, because not everyone will come to ultimately surrender to the Supreme Absolute Truth, and therefore the Vedas also is divided in this way. There is a Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. For those whose intelligence is here, intelligence has been stolen by material desires, and therefore there are many demigods who can be worshipped accordingly, but then there are certain rules as well to follow. But they're easily pleased. But because they're not understanding or not knowing, ultimately that their desires, the desires that they wish to be fulfilled, which is coming from the demigods, ultimately the source is Lord Krishna. So, why not worship the source? The ultimate source. Because if you worship the ultimate source, then you'll get more. And because their intelligence is stolen by their material desires, so there is like you go to a king and you ask the king, the king will say, okay, how can I serve you? I can give you anything, whatever you wish. But the foolish person will go to the king and says, oh, I only ask petty things like handful of ashes. And the king will say, you fool, but you're only asking for a few handful of ashes. I can give you a kingdom. So similarly, these personalities whose intelligence has been stolen by their material desires, they can, as much as possible. And therefore, they cannot be satisfied. They still become miserable, even though their material desires have been fulfilled by the different demigods. Because there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end to whatever their desires are. But for the devotee, their desire is only to serve the Supreme Lord. And therefore, everlasting reward will be there for them. And therefore, they are satisfied, they are content. Because they just keep asking for more service to the Supreme Lord, which is our nature. And the Supreme Lord will fulfill that. Antavantat, text 23. Antavattu palam tesam tadbhavati alpamedasam devam devaya joyanti madbhaktayanti mam api. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Yes, so those demigod worshippers, whatever they do, ultimately will not give them full satisfaction, because the fruits of the desires that they wish to fulfill, to be fulfilled, the result is temporary. It goes after some time. It doesn't have an everlasting result. It's limited and temporary. But the devotees of the Supreme Lord, ultimately, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, they reach the ultimate destination, which is the spiritual world. The supreme planet, Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means there is no anxiety. In the material world, from the highest planetary system in Swarga Loka, Brahma Loka, down to the hellish place, this is a place of repeated birth and death. Therefore, it doesn't matter, even if you reach up to Swarga Loka, the heavenly planets, you will not be happy, because you have to take birth again and again and again. Unlike the devotees of the Supreme Lord, once they reach the supreme abode, Vaikuntha Loka, yat gatvana nivartante taddhamma paramam mama. One will not come back again to the place of repeated birth, death, old age and disease, this miserable world. So demigod worship, they have lots of desires, but the result limited and temporary. They're less intelligent, they just want to go to the planets of the demigods. Again, not shoot, but as Prabhupada says that, shoot for the rhinoceros. You should aim the highest. Why not? If you are given a wish to be fulfilled, you should go for the highest, and the highest is to attain love of God. So let's not get caught only with these desires and get frustrated. Focus on the permanent happiness, which comes by serving the Supreme. That's the only way. 3 more verses. Text 27. Who can become a devotee? Now we're in the part that who can become a devotee. We talk about those who reject, those who accept, the demigod worshippers. Now we're going to talk about how to become a devotee. Ichadvesa samutena dvandha mohena bharata sarvabhutani samoham sargeyante parantapa. O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate. This is how we are in illusion, why we are covered up, because we have desire, and that desire cannot be fulfilled. That means material desires. Everyone who is existing in the material world, they all have desires. Even an ant, the desire of an ant is to find where is sugar. Where is sugar? For the fruitive actors, that means the human beings, their desires mostly 99.999% is about material gain or wealth. Wealth and women, actually. Wealth and women. This is their desires. Money, money, money. Sweeter than honey. Where is the money? 24 hours a day, practically. and attraction towards the opposite sex. The man to the woman and woman to the man. Their thoughts are always like this. Whenever you will meet a materialist, this is always what they're talking about. How to make money and how to fulfill my lusty desires. That's it. So desire is there all the time. So we have to change our desire. We have to be desireless. Now, what do you mean desireless? We always have desire. Desireless means our desire should be only what Krishna's desires are for us. If we follow, that's why he says, Krishna has a plan for us, but we have our own plan. Well, forget about our plan. Our plan is to fulfill Krishna's plan, Krishna's desire. So in this way, we'll be getting out of the illusion. And if the desire cannot be fulfilled materially, usually we get angry. That is the result. The desires are not being fulfilled. The propensity to enjoy the objects of the senses with our senses, if it's not fulfilled, then we become angry. And we started to hate everyone who is gonna come on our way. So no, a devotee of the Supreme Lord, his desire is only Krishna's desire, and therefore he is always happy. Cannot be angry at any time. Text 28. Yesam tu atam gatam papam jnanam jnanam punya karmanam te dvandhamo hanurmukta bhajanti mam vidhavrata. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So yes, it says that those who perform some kind of pious activities from the past, that kind of pious activities is like a little bit of bhakti. Even a small tinge of bhakti, knowingly or unknowingly. This is what you call, one can perform bhakti without knowing it. It's called agyata sukriti. Some kind of pious activities, like sometimes we have Ratha Yatra, and then we can ask passerby, hey Prabhuji, can you lift this up, some item? And therefore, he'll be able to perform some bhakti, and therefore, next life, he will continue. Somehow, even though one did not perform any pious activities in the past, but then, by great fortune, he met a devotee of the Supreme Lord, then that devotee will somehow pave the way for the person who did not perform any pious activities in the past to follow the path of bhakti. And therefore, he will have a new life. So in this way, yes, he'll be engaged in some service, and in this lifetime, will become like a new life for him. So forget the past, begin wherever you are. It's never too late for a spiritual journey back home. Yes, some of us, we have come in contact with the Krishna consciousness, even our late years, some were young. It's like during Prabhupada's time. In the early days, some joined they're like teenagers, 14 years old, 15 years old, somehow. But At the present, it doesn't matter whether you're 50 years old or 40 years old or 60 years old. It's never too late. And there's a saying in English also, better late than never. So when you follow this process, forget about your past, whether you live in it's not so favorable way, sinful way, it doesn't matter. Just begin where you are. Bhakti is like this. Past is not really considered. What is more important is now. Now. And especially when you surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when He says in the 18th chapter, text 66, Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasami masuchaha. Abandon all your so-called religious activities and just surrender unto me. Do not worry. I will protect you. So the assurance of Lord Krishna for us to not to be worried. It's like, modern day, they have a slogan, no fear. No fear. We can reach to that platform of no fear when we accept Krishna, surrender unto Him, and give up everything for the service of the Supreme Lord and His pure devotees. He says that bhakti, when one comes to the path of bhakti and give everything, let Krishna be the driver, or be the one who will direct our life. It's like being blindfolded, and you can run in any direction as fast as you like, and you will not trip. So bhakti is like that. You don't worry. Krishna will take care of everything. Krishna will provide everything. So, that is chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.